Well, well, well. Hello again, everybody. This is Mal Burns looking at a logo on the screen. There we are. The camera is panning down. Well, if you think I sound like I'm sleepwalking, I probably am, but you'll hear more about what the whys and wherefores of that a little bit later on. But we're running this show at the top of the show, as usual. So it's a sort of welcome to the Metaverse Week in Review. And more importantly, now it's welcome to the Inworld Review. And the date, I forget this, the 14th of July, 2013. So welcome, everybody. There is really only one topic of conversation at the moment, and we'll be diving straight into it in a short while when I bring in the many guests we've got on the show here today. In the meantime, we're sort of, I really only have a couple of things, apart from the fact that virtual reality is being used for many medical purposes, including distracting patients. The major news of the week, I think, as far as the general metaverse is concerned, is the fact that Linden Lab, who makes Second Life, the platform we're actually broadcasting here from at the moment, have bought a games distribution company called Desura. Now, this came as a complete bullet out of the blue, whatever you call it. Nobody was expecting it or seemed to know anything about it. It just went straight out as an announcement in the tech press. It is a major company they've bought, and it makes one wonder about what Linden Labs' plans are, redistribution, especially as it is actually a game distribution company as opposed to a sort of specific platform distribution company. Anyway, so that actually is the main news there. And I hate to say this, but the keynote person for the Open Sim conference has also been announced. Tara Maynham knows about it because I don't actually have my cue on screen today. It's been a bit manic pulling all the stuff we need up for this show because I've just finished a live 30-hour telethon. Which finished about half an hour ago, so you can imagine the state I'm in. So what I will do is I will hand over to my colleague Tara to bring you up to date with her news and take on the week. So over to you, Tara.
Well, thank you, Mel. And I'm glad you're still at least sort of horizontal. Vertical? No, vertical. Yes, you aren't horizontal yet, but you will be soon, I'm sure. after the telethon. Well, you will notice, those of you who might have seen last week's show, that my position at the moment is temporarily occupied by a hatchling from a week ago. Now, those of you who were here last week know that the two normal-sized kitty cats on either side of the chair produced a box, and the box was unboxed last week, and this is what's called among kitty cats fans a megapus, and they're born at pretty much the normal size of kittens, but in the course of a week they turn into very large kitties. Now the megapus has another kind of fun thing about it, and that is you can ride them, and one of the things that has been going on since the megapuses were introduced a few months ago is megapus races. And people ride their megapuses around a track, and it's pretty fun, and it's pretty predictable that would happen. But anyway, meet Harana Mouse. Harana Mouse is a megapus, and I'm going to put him off on the side of the stage since we have a lot of guests today, so that I can resume my normal position here momentarily. To pick up on Mal's item, the interesting thing about the Desura acquisition that has been pointed out in a couple of bloggers is that Desura is the go-to location for independent game developers as a place to launch, and that's been its real focus and its strong suit, and that from that perspective, its focus on creator driven content, just like Second Life, it actually makes rather good sense and is a rather good fit. That was an interesting point, that they were really the first ones out the gate focusing on independent games and independent game developers, And the platform has tools that are very much geared to that, to people, to those sorts of folks developing. And it's well established as a place to go for independent games. People who focus on playing independent games, Desura is the go-to place. So, very interesting development, I thought. On the issue of who the keynote speaker is for the Open Sim conference in
Grady
September.
Brooch. Grady.
Thank you. I'm glad you found it because I missed that little item.
Yeah, it's Grady Brooch, who it's a very familiar name to me, but I couldn't give you his biography. It's just one of those names very familiar.
Yeah, well, now, other than that,
I come in very quickly. It's Grady
sure.
Bush, and you know him through Agile Bill now.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Good. The rest of my news items all are kind of on the geeky side of things, beginning with the fact that the mesh deformer that Carl Linden, former Linden, developed, that has been in the works at Second Life for entirely too long. Inworld has paid Carl to use it and is incorporating it into the Inworld's viewer. One of the interesting kind of sidelights on that, besides the fact that Inworlds has now gotten the jump on having a mesh deformer ahead of Second Life getting one out, is that Inworlds actually asked Carl if there was anything that he might want to do to improve the code before he used it, and he said, "Yes, I can make it faster." And they paid him, and he did that, and apparently achieved a rather impressive increase in speed performance for it. For those of you who haven't paid much attention to this sort of thing, when Mesh was first introduced in Second Life, immediate and fashion designers started fiddling with it. The first thing everybody discovered was you can't just dump a mesh garment on an avatar and have it look right. And in fact, they look really silly if you don't happen to have a body shape that matches the mesh. And designers have done the workaround of creating multiple versions in different sizes. And there's been sort of some semi-standardization that's emerged over the last year or so of what those different sizes mean. But it's still not perfect. And the mesh deformer has been the subject of a JIRA going on ever since there was a crowdsourced funding to help Carl finish doing it. And Linden Lab sort of agreed to play and to continue looking at this development. And of course, there's been all kinds of the usual bad mouthing of Linden Lab for not moving it ahead and all that has typically gone on. But in one of the interesting blog posts on this, Mona Eberhardt at this week's Monday's content creation mesh import user group meeting, which includes Oz Linden attends that's a lab sponsored meeting. Anyway, she asked, what's the current status of the mesh deformer? What features have been requested by content creators? Of these features, which are the most important and which could be omitted or postponed? And Oz replied that the deformer is waiting for Linden resources to evaluate how well it works and what its performance impact is. He says he's not been able to get the required people on it yet. He's optimistic that it will happen, but can't offer a timeline. So it's and then he said he knows that's not a great answer, but consider that it could be worse, which is we're not even going to look at it, which isn't the case. Anyway, so stay tuned on that one. It's one of the things that occurred to me as I was reading all of this was it's got a real bad name. It's got a name problem. It shouldn't be called a mesh deformer because that sounds like, well, we have to deform things to fit our deformed avatars. It ought to be the mesh customizer. Anyway, just a little thought there. The other thing that I thought was rather cool this week is, as has been bantered around for some time, the first bit of the rollout of server-side textures has happened on La Tigra, on the release candidate La Tigra Sims this week. Rolled out on Wednesday. So that means if you hit a La Tigra Sim and you are using a mesh capable viewer, then you should see avatar textures res really fast. And if you see gray avatars, that means you're not using a mesh, you're not using a server-side appearance compatible viewer yet, and it's time to upgrade, folks. There was one comment made in regard, a couple notes here, that given the fact that there's lots of issues about how they calibrate servers and what have you for serving textures, that the first week or two, one of commenters said could be a bit gnarly as they get the network optimized. So, but then they went on to say this is exactly the sort of situation where they need the release candidate phase for something more than bug testing. So, and if you don't want to just kind of grid hop and hope you hit a La Tigra sim, if you go to the community forums, the official Second Life community forums, that's community.secondlife.com, and search for deploys for the week of 2113-07-08 Second Life, and look for there is a list in there of all the La Tigra sims. So there's your resource for that information if you want to go check it out and see what it's looking like in its first on the main grid appearance. I think that's pretty cool. It's certainly been one that we've been talking about for quite some time. And the final note is this last week they rolled out the new release candidate setup as far as downloads are concerned, as far as regular viewers. And this basically means that you can check a box if you're using Second Life Viewer, or you can leave checked a willing to update box, and by virtue of that, you may receive a release candidate instead of the current default release candidate. And the numbers will be variable, but the net result of this particular change is that the lab will be able to test as release candidates more different viewers simultaneously, and the anticipation is this is going to speed up getting some features out to us. So if you don't like if the thought of having running a release candidate gives you fits, go into your preferences in the official viewer and go to the setup tab and uncheck the box that's next to willing to update to release candidates. Just uncheck that box and you won't get a release candidate ever. So just a little something to be aware of there. Let's see. I think I had one more item here. I'm sure there was one more thing. Covered that. Oh, for those of you who are looking for something to do this week, the hair fair opened this weekend, and take off all your clothes, anything with scripts, strip down, and you've got until the 28th of July. And if you're serious about hair shopping at the hair fair, there's a hair fair demo group, and designers have been posting hair demos, so you can do your hair demo downloading and testing in the privacy of your own low-lag location of choice. And that's it for me, and I'll toss it back to you. And while I do that, Mel, I'll move the kitty here off onto the side so somebody can sit in that. So I can move into my normal chair and somebody can sit where I'm sitting.
Right, which would be pet love, I think. Many thanks. Many thanks, Dava. So many clients, so many things behind the scenes. Very interesting stuff. Talking of low lag, I can think of one place where if everybody had got undressed in preparation for wearing hair only, it might have helped, but I don't think it would have been appropriate somehow. We have just finished a massive event, which is our own telethon as it were, in collaboration with lots of broadcasters, freelancers all together, working to bring outreach television broadcasting of Relay for Life in Second Life to people in world, but also to the general public out of world. And it has been a long haul, but we've got some very great news to bring you from the results of it all, because it was also a major fundraising activity. We're probably not going to stay on air with this part of the shows too long today, so I'm going to sort of depart from the norm and sort of bring everybody sort of into introduce them all one by one very quickly before we enter the conversation. On my going on my right hand side, as it were. First of all, I'm glad to welcome somebody who's been on this show many times before now, and that is Xander Green. Hi, Xander.
Hello. Hi, Mel. Good to be with you.
And you are probably about the same state as I am when it comes to sleep.
I'm ready for a little, I would say, for sure.
Yeah, exactly. We all are, but it's probably while we've still got the adrenaline flowing. Actually, it's probably a good way to be here. Next to Xander, a newcomer to our show for sure, although a very familiar name to many people. It's Aisling Sinclair. Hi, Ash.
Hi, Mel. How are you?
Oh, don't ask that question.
Yeah, I won't ask. You're about the same as I am, I know.
Ash has been very much behind the cameras director for the telethon, so has been sort of putting the plugs in and out, metaphorically, sort of getting us everybody in position, everything queued up and everything like that. So you've been doing a wonderful job. We'll come back to you shortly. Great. Next to Ash, I've got Dooza Dragon. Ash Dooza's been here before, of course. We all know her. My pal from Metaverse TV, in fact. Hi, Dooza.
Hi, Mel. How you doing? Well, I don't know why I'm asking that. You just said how you're doing. I tell you how I'm doing is that the very fact that I didn't get caffeinated coffee sort of sums it up.
Good point.
There's not one to me that's awake now.
Mm. Good point. I never got a chance to.
Are you lighting up?
Recaffeinate.
Let me join you, Mel.
Let me. Yeah. Oh dear. Sorry. Yeah. But now you know. I'm not taking the sparse one out the window anymore. Right. Next to Dooza. Somebody else you have been on the show once or at least twice. Well, at least once before. It's David Abbott. Hi, David.
Hi, Mel. Just the once before.
Yeah. Right.
Nice to be back.
Great, and you too, and you've been joining us on Telethon too, so wonderful. I mean, I'm used to you as a sort of bit. You don't speak publicly that often, but you do a lot of writing for things like Sapphire's Black and Mirror and stuff like that. But it was actually great to hear you sort of on air, and also you did a lot of the advanced interviews we recorded in the week, ready for the Telethon. So you become a familiar voice in the back of my head at the moment.
Well, I hate talking about my work, mainly because, honestly, I don't think I really have anything that interesting to say about it. But this kind of thing, no problem at all.
Yeah, I think many artists would agree with that. You know, they want the art to express themselves. I mean, I don't want to talk about it. Here it is. Make up your mind.
There's a fantastic quote from Douglas Adams about this. Somebody asked him what the message he was trying to send was with The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. And he said very simply, if I wanted to write a message, I would have written a message. I wrote a book.
Fine. Very good point. Fair enough. I can't really say much to that. It's right to the point. Okay. Well, let me move across the room or the stage or whatever we've got here. It is. Next to Tara, of course, is welcome back to our wonderful camera person. She does two jobs at once. It's Pet Love, Pet Shop. Hi,
Some people just call me Pet Shop. Hi, Mel. Yeah. Thanks for another Sunday afternoon.
Pet Shop Boys or whatever. Yes,
yeah, right.
Indeed. Well, Pet Love, needless to say, has been one of the many cameras on the telethon, and also you've been doing a great job all week of training up quite a few people who've previously unexperienced with live stream broadcasting and stuff. So good on you for that.
Yeah, thank you. It was fun.
And moving right across, to two total newcomers on the show, in fact. And in fact, the first one, Safra Knightley. Hi, Safra.
Hello, everybody. Hello.
Good to have you here. Now, I didn't really know you, Safra, at all until the telethon, but you've been actually doing well, what we call managing the audio desk, which basically means because all the cameras are queued into the same audio stream, it's done via Skype, and you've got the regular presenters and the regular camera people, but every few minutes you've got to bring more people into the call because they're the guests, and then you've got to bring the next lot in and kick out the ones there before so that we don't get too clogged. So it's really a manual full-time job, just sitting there on the stream really and getting people in, getting them out and everything else. So you did a wonderful job, I must say.
Thank you very much.
And you too will no doubt be very exhausted. And finally, on the end, with a wonderful top hat there, and I'm not sure whether we even got lip sync on him. Wonderful character. It's Racerette's Gullywing, who is a machinima maker or camera person. Also has been part of the team, and he's probably very familiar to those of you who like to watch the racing activities of snails, virtual snails. So welcome, Racer.
Hello. How's it going there? Yeah, my lips aren't going to move because your scripts are turned off here.
Oh, very good. Okay, so it's the scripts that's the problem, not the avatar. I know this because most of the time I'm wandering around in pussycat form, and of course there's no lip sync on Pussy. He just looks around and does what he wants to do, just like a normal cat. Anyway, that is beside the point. So I think our main topic of conversation is going to be inevitably, because there's one thing everybody here has in common in the guest front, and that is Relay for Life of 2010 in Second Life, and of course the telethon we just finished. And I think to bring us up to date, I'd like to give the mic to Xander, because we've passed lots of key figures. The money's been pouring in. We've been doing very well, haven't we, Xander?
It's an incredible season. The Relay for Life season begins every year in March, and it all culminates in Relay Weekend, which we've just come through. Something of a gauntlet, certainly, but coming through with having broken we broke pretty much every record. I think we broke the record for the number of records broken, if that tells you anything. So we were able to say that as a community, 3,000 people around the world came together in this virtual world to relay, and since March through today have raised now over $378,000 US. That's not Linden dollars, that's cold hard cash. $378,000 in one season. About 45,000 of that, Mal, was just in the last 24 hours. That's the power of this Relay Weekend event. 50 sims and 3,000 people, and 24 hours of in-world media coverage, including the telethon, and that's what's possible. You know, when people talk about what the potential for this platform is, certainly for something as globally important as the fight against cancer. Be able to measure it in those sorts of, hard, cold terms, the dollar amounts. It's a staggering amount, and even more staggering when you realize that for the 9 years that Relay has been going on in Second Life, this now represents a lifetime total in those 9 years of now over $2 million US. The first million took this community 7 years to raise. The second million done in 2 years. That's the growth that this community can lay claim to, and it's something that I think everybody who's attached to the telethon, to the broadcast of any kind, anybody in Relay is a very proud resident of Second Life today.
I have to say, the moment we knew we'd reached the 2 million, it almost outshone, whatever the final total turns out to be for the actual weekend, because reaching 2 million is just the mind boggles really. And as I mentioned on the Relay, we are effectively the biggest city Relay has, and they love us, don't they? They consider us totally major, their major city.
Yeah, you could feel for a number of years there, that the representatives of the American Cancer Society we get to work with, they were excited by what was happening. They loved it. They didn't quite get it. And yet in the last couple of years, it's pretty clear they get it now. I think they got it.
Yeah, so they should. Well, let's move around here. I know you have to hop off at about one time, and so does David. So I think I'll go straight across to David. Now, David, you've been doing. You've spent a fair time on the news desk. I popped in there a few times. You did a whole load of advanced interviews for the show, and indeed a few live interviews for the show. So you've actually seen quite a panorama of the different characters and different concerns that have been taking part. How do you feel about
Certainly
it?
Have.
What's your impression of it all been?
Exhaustion?
Yeah. I can go with that one.
Yeah. It's been an amazing ride. This has actually been my first relay season. Xander got me hooked into this last year when we were working together on the Black and Mirror. And he gave Fantasy Fair such a sort of a whole routine, effectively. He ended up signing me up for that. And then somehow I ended up here. I think that was Ash's fault.
Okay, well, we'll ask her next.
And
you wouldn't blame that on me, would you?
I think I just did.
You should.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So going from sort of 4 months ago, a complete relay virgin, to this has been quite an extraordinary thing, and the telethon has very much concentrated that to sort of speak to people in advance and to get an idea of their passion and to see the level of inspiration. Not that just that they draw from relay, but they give back to it as well. And then taking that into the opening of the broadcast yesterday, and then having a chance after I did the Good Morning section, and got off the air at 7 o'clock to go and do a couple of laps of the track, and then to come back and do some more show. It's been busy but incredible.
That's one thing I'm actually sad about, really. I mean, I feel really, a sense of achievement, around the studio, and actually just trying to look at it impartially, the quality of what we did and the consistency amongst some of the sound people and everything. But my regret is that I just never got a chance to go around the track. There's too much to do behind the scenes. Although
You've got a week.
Yeah, and I did do, of course, to a certain extent, while we were doing some of the pre-records. I mean, I remember recording you doing interviews at really pretty fantastic-looking locations, and then, you'd after the pre-record was over, sort of glance over and then, oh, gosh, what's that? Go and have a look at that. But as indeed everybody involved with Relay said, there is no human way, any avatar, any human avatar could literally... you can do quite a few laps of the track, but if you want to go off, to all the side events and whatever, it can be done. It's like a Glastonbury festival in the UK. It's a city. You can't watch every stage. You can't see every little thing in every outlying field. You just made the best of what you can do.
Absolutely. I think it was Dwayne Dooley who said in his introductory notes, except now you're not going to see it all. Because there just isn't time. So it's kind of fun that you get this. Everybody's relay is therefore different.
Yeah, and in fact, there is so much variety. But if you just go in there casually, you just overawing sort of. You're overwhelmed by the sheer creativity and functionality of other things. But there are obviously other people there who go for not one particular thing, but their own little niche of things. I know. Let me go over here briefly to Racer, because as I mentioned, people probably know Racer from the snail race shows that happen. And you know, I noticed we did a little segment from this sort of mini racing track there, but this is very typical, I think, racer, isn't it? I mean, the community that follow these snails, and apparently can now buy baby snails too, although they're not as breedable. they're not as breedable.
It's a tiny snail avatar.
Yeah, I was getting very confused. I thought it was in the breedables hour, so I thought there was...
No, we never got into breedables. We'd be making money on it if we did breedables.
Indeed you would. But yeah, yours is probably a very good example of, you know, it's like you know, not in a derogatory way, but it's like a sub-community, isn't it? The people are into all this snail racing, and so their very presence at the relay builds was important, you know, because it was the representation of that community, rather than just the racing side of it, if you see what I mean. Would you agree?
You lost me, sort of.
Oh, I do procrastinate at times. No, I just felt yours was a very good example of a community fans of snails.
Yeah, we have a little cult following.
Yeah. That's kind of what I meant. So it's like a cult within the whole you know, exhibition and fundraising event. Okay, let's move on. Came back over the other way. Dooza, let's bring you in. You've been principally, along with me on occasion, on the news desk there, haven't you? So we've seen all the stuff flowing through, you know, while we hop off to individual interviews and events and stuff. It's always back to the news desk. And you've been anchoring the news desk a lot of the time. So how was it for you, is the only phrase I can come up with.
How was it for me? It was exhilarating, actually. I think it's the best word. I mean, now I'm kind of de-exhilarated. I don't mean I'm depressed. I just think that my adrenaline surge is starting to leave me, and you know, I'm wrecked, basically. But I haven't done. I know when I left, I did the morning yesterday, or morning time yesterday, and then I left because I had to do some gigs at Metaverse. But and then came back this morning, and I felt like I'd had a really good night's sleep because I was looking forward to doing the job. You know what I mean? And I was one of the things I really enjoyed about it as well was being in the chat on the live stream element with the people in what we've decided to call today by consensus the organic world, and just, you know, talking to them, and that was fantastic. But there were a good many people on that link, and of course you couldn't see them all, and quite a lot of them were very silent and weren't in the chat and stuff like that. But those, you still felt a connection because they were there. I also love, which I said on air, I think I love the fact that I can see out of the back of the studio people going round the track, because all the time you are reminded of that. And I think maybe next year we should be track level.
Good point, actually. I mean, there are advantages to doing shows like this, where if anybody wants to pop by, they can, but there's no actual audience. You know, it helps with lag and broadcasting. But you know, you're just sitting in the studio recording a show, kind of thing. Whereas, you know, we've got all those people around us, and you then think you really are broadcasting live from a particular space, immersive space online, yes, but you know, you're in that space broadcasting out, and it's like a lot of musicians and actors will probably say, you get that feedback, the buzz from the audience being there. You know, you could
being part of it rather than separated from it.
Yes, exactly. And I think, I imagine we all felt that, because you know, you just you know, we can curse the lag and everything else, but you just couldn't avoid all the activity going on around us and feeling like we were totally in there and part of it.
Yeah, I totally agree. I don't know what anybody else might think, and maybe Xander would have some information on this, because I know that things were said at the end of the shoot. That the other thing is, you know, when we're looking at the screen and we're seeing how many viewers are on, how much effect does media have on it? I mean, I'd really like to examine that at some point. I'm not a great one for analytics. You know, I find them morbidly interesting. But I do wonder how much effect we do have as a broadcast on what's actually going on. And I suspect the biggest effect we have is in the long term, with being able to leave the channel up and leave the programs on for people to look at afterwards.
I suspect that's the case too. I mean, just this program gets far more hits on the replays throughout the week than we ever get when we're live. And yeah, I like the way you're talking about the text audio, the chat room on live stream. We've got one here now, and I think it's only about 3 or 4 people actually chatting on it, but they are not the only viewers. Some people would never enter it, but they might well be watching the chat, even though they don't feel like participating. So it's that's the beauty of the live thing. But yeah, no, I'm sure from what I've heard that the Relay for Life channel, virtual RFL live stream, by the way, is going to be hit throughout the year. I hadn't really gone back to it since last year, and I was quite astonished at all the stuff that was there and the fact that reviewers in there watching it. And this is before we got going, so yes. Let's talk to another exhausted woman. Ash, how does it feel to be not so much on air, but running around behind the scenes constantly for all this time? Because that's what you've been doing since the word go, really.
Yes, my fingers have been doing a lot of running because, of course, we had to do all of our communication in text chat, because we were reserving the voice, of course, for our live stream. But I'll tell you, every year, this is the 3rd or 4th year I've done this, and every year it's just a pleasure working with people that I never get to work with for the balance of the year. People like you, Mal, and Dusa, just fabulous. And our new friend Safra, who did sound for us, and David, who joined us this year, and Xander, who's been with us a couple of times now, a couple of years, and Tara. It just is marvelous because it's a wonderful collaboration among all of these media organizations, and it's just a fabulous thing that we all can come together.
I think so. I think we get something out of it too. I think I said that to somebody. Was it Sandra or somebody who was praising us earlier? And I said, well, we get a lot out of this too. It's a great job satisfaction level, I think, in it. And as you say, it's one time of the year when a lot of us who, I don't really believe in competition in the virtual world, because we're pioneers. The competition starts when you've got a mass market already built. But we do our separate things, and we don't always overlap. And it's nice that one time of the year we sort of see our colleagues from all over the place.
That's right, absolutely right. And this is something that we can truly all pour our hearts into, not just our minds and not just our talents, but we can really, because it has so heart beneath it and within it, that we can really join on that level and just connect with it emotionally and just truly love it.
Yeah, totally. I can't think of much to say, but I keep sort of repeating ourselves. How it's been a great experience. So let's move over to the other side briefly. Pet Love. Let's bring you in, as well as filming. You, as I said at the top of the show, you've not only been filming as part of the crew, as you do for so many shows, but you've also been behind the scenes, getting a few new camera people in and training them up over the week beforehand and everything. How are you feeling? You must feel pretty exhausted too.
I'm tired, but it's a good kind of tired.
Yeah.
Job well done. We did a good thing for a good cause. So I'm content. It was fun training a couple of new people. They were both friends. They were both quick studies. But I wanted to mention one thing in line with what Ash was saying about people having a chance to collaborate and get together who often don't. During one of the trackside interviews, was it Pookie with Stingray? Or Safia, one of them. Anyway, we were talking after the interview, and Stingray expressed an interest in all of the film and dubs and voiceovers that we produced for this year's telethon, and they want to stream them directly on. I don't know exactly how he wants to stream them or where, but he's going to make good use of them on the website for the American Cancer Society. So, that's great, don't you think?
And yeah,
the
absolutely.
the connections that get made.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
it's like the channel being on air all year and stuff, and more people.
Yeah.
Somebody mentions it, and then a viewer comes along, and then they say, when it's professionals who then say, "Oh, we want to use that," then it makes you feel good, doesn't it?
That's right. And plus, you did a good job.
Yeah.
And more people get to hear about stuff too. More people get the information. It might help more people fight cancer. The outreach is that much broader. So that was exciting. I thought that was really neat.
Yeah, and the whole it's hard to tell until one reflects back on it. But you're crossing. You're raising money for the American Cancer Society, but you're crossing a whole gamut of activities here. If money goes to research, for example, that's research. It's a benefit to everybody everywhere in the world, not just America. But we're sometimes we're talking about loss and commemorating that. Other times we're celebrating being able to live and overcome. And it's not just one sort of central focus there. So when you discuss the particular elements of the cancer issues, for example, then I think that enhances the outreach, because we're, like you say, we hope more people can pick up on it, get information about something that's a concern to them, something pending, something past, or bereavement, or something like that.
Who knows? Yeah, there are so many sad aspects to the whole situation. Any help that they can get in any of those human areas, which is what this is all about, is for the best.
So let's move on to Sappho. As I say, I only met you during the course of this weekend, but how did you come to get involved in this and everything else?
Okay, it's a bit of a story. I know Safia, with the machines from Treat TV. I present and I help present with Racer, the giant snail races. And for about 2 years now, I've been doing the stream and I've been doing the voice and the Skype calls for the snail racing. I also do a lot of building and DJing as well. So I've been doing this sort of media in SL, voice into SL, and the whole using Skype as a communications platform for presenting shows. So I was talking to Safia about, 2 weeks ago? And she said, how would I like to get involved with the live cast? How would I like to get involved in that side of it? And I said, yeah, I'd certainly try my best, see what I can do to help. Because every year since I joined SL, I've been involved with Relay for Life. I'm very, very dedicated to some of the work that I've done. And this year it just felt like a different opportunity to contribute in a different way.
Well, you did an absolutely fantastic job, and I don't know why, but I think I heard you mention a couple of times something about this, that, and then your server room, and I thought, what kind of kid has she got there? She's sitting on top of a server room. But
yes,
you sound well kitted out for this. I guess if you stream a lot, fair enough. But you did a wonderful job of patching in extra things and stuff. It was just very well done.
Right. The story goes, I do actually have a server room. The school that I worked for, when we decommission servers, we're not allowed to sell them on. We have to securely dispose of them. Now, there's only 2 ways that can be done. One, we can basically put it into a special device that will shred them into 1,000 bits, or somebody who is signed by the Data Protection Act can basically recommission them into another job. So I sit on 3 school servers that were built they were built to run entire school networks, which I now have in a room in my house, including the entire school backbone system. So I have all their switches, I have a lot of the equipment that was decommissioned, well, it wasn't decommissioned, it was just upgraded, and what was no longer needed for the school sort of drifted here.
Oh, that sounds a great setup. Have you ever thought of starting your own grid?
No.
No. Okay. I shouldn't have asked that one, should I?
I've really not got the knowledge for that sort of thing. But then again, you see, I'm putting this equipment back into a good use. I'm using this equipment for something like today, where it's going to a good cause. All of the knowledge I have and all the equipment I have is helping so many other people in such a different way.
Right. Absolutely. So, let me move on to Racer. Am I right in thinking this is this the first year you've actually been on camera at the telethon? Or no, it isn't. No, it isn't. Of course, you have been on before. How was it for you? I mean, I know you spent most of your time busy on camera, but have you got any thoughts about how it went and everything else? Or have I lost Racer? Or is he muted? Okay. Well, what I'm going to do, especially actually as I'm looking at the time, is I know that David and Zander are going to have to disappear very shortly. So,
can we read Racer's lips, maybe? Come on, it's a joke. Everybody laugh. You're not too tired. Wake up.
Read lips. But we haven't got the scripts working.
Okay, bye.
The scripts aren't working.
I know, it was a joke, Mal. Sorry.
Well, actually, that's not true. His lips are working now because I re-enabled scripts.
Oh, very good. Right.
Yay.
It was one of those little items that I disabled when we had our little issue with someone who was a bit overbearing.
Okay, I've suddenly realised we've got a lot of chat in our own Skype over here. It's on another machine behind me, and of course I'm not looking at it. Okay, let's switch. Let's switch back to Zander and David, because I know they have to rush off very shortly in a couple of minutes. So, David, anything else that on your mind that you'd like to say before I know you have to dash off with Zander?
Bed now?
Yeah.
No, it's been an amazing experience, and I think we have made a difference. In fact, I think that the way the telethon is put together is an interesting microcosm of the way that Relay is put together, given that you have, sort of various teams coming together for one cause, to be one team, fighting one fight, and producing incredible results. I don't know how much of an effect we, as a group, have had over the enormity of what's happened this weekend, but I can say I'm damn proud of what we have done.
Absolutely. Well, we're
I think
proud.
Zander would agree with me.
Yeah, and we're proud of you too. That's for sure. Zander.
Yeah, it's amazing to me that in not just the 10 years that Second Life has been around, to have seen the evolution in the obviously the way it looks, the way it functions, and then also the evolution of it as a truly a user-defined content platform. This is what we choose to make it, what we choose to make of it. And so as we've had this platform itself evolving, we've had the way people have made use of it evolving as well. And I think this whole evolution of in-world media is so exciting. And it's on this track, I think, as an event Relay evolves, the media is evolving in such exciting and dramatic ways to tell a story that's just getting more exciting and more dramatic all the time. So a real exciting season, obviously, for the money, but also, as David said, because it is, and as several have said here today, it's this chance to collaborate with people. Everybody brings such a different set of passions and talents, and there's absolutely no talent, there's no skill set that really relay, something like relay and something like the telethon doesn't require. It takes people who are happy to get on air and talk. It takes people who have the technical skills and the sensitivity and creativity to be a camera person or an audio person. And it takes, viewers who are interested enough to sit down and watch this incredible story unfold. All those passions, all those talents necessary, and kind of one of those a field of dreams moments. It was built, and indeed they came. And so a real affirmation, I think, for a lot of us, just that the faith that we've always had in this platform as a whole really does seem to be bearing fruit. And it was an extraordinary thing to be a part of.
Indeed, it was. Tara, and you got any thoughts on this while Sandra and David are still with us? Or I know you've been otherwise occupied, I know, for most of the weekend, but you did see bits of it.
Oh, yeah, I did see bits of it. It's such a wonderful marriage between Second Life's strong suits and a fabulous fundraiser. When you think of all the various things that nonprofit organizations do to raise, very necessary dollars to support their missions. The wonderful thing about Relay is it is totally transportable to a virtual environment. And there's a bunch of things you can do in Second Life that you can't do in the RL sim and the RL relays, where the typical location for those is walking around a school track. Well, the views aren't very interesting. And while the teams certainly set up their camps, it's just not, you just don't have quite the amazing creativity possibilities that the Inworld relay has. So, it's always just incredibly impressive to see what the teams do in the way of their own builds and all that, as well as I say, this wonderful marriage that this particular event offers, as well as a fabulous cause to be supporting.
Absolutely right.
Half organic with an extra dose of magic.
Yeah,
good
exactly.
Way to put it. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'd like to thank both Sandra and David for coming, especially as they're in the same state as me after this weekend. So thank you both for being here. I know you've got to run, but thank you. Thank you indeed. And talking of running, I also know that Ash has to leave very shortly too. So I'm going to come back to Ash, basically, to any closing thoughts you got, Ash, because I know you got to run too.
Oh, I'm just so grateful for, particularly this time, for such interested and engaged and articulate talent on set. I mean, the guys who would just take just a snapshot of a topic and roll with it for minutes and make it sound interesting and engaging and make our audience love it and make me love it. I just really am grateful for everyone we had on air, including you, Mel, and the wonderful job you did keeping everything on air for us.
Well, my pleasure. Let's. I'm looking at the time, in fact, so we are going to wrap the show completely very shortly. So let me move to Dooza. Any closing thoughts from you? And basically, also, I might add, if anybody has any announcements to make about other things during the week or whatever, please feel free to do so. But Dooza.
Okay, I think there I am. Yeah, I'm sorry. I was being sent photographs by various gentlemen in the group here, showing me that I'm not wearing trousers. And Pet Love is having to film around this fact. So if you're wondering what the devil I've got on now, is I'm attempting to cover some modesty, which I'm not seeing. Right, I'm in the Emperor's new clothes. But,
I think we better keep cameras away from you. Yes, I didn't realise that. I'm sort of monitoring. I'm monitoring a long shot here.
Well, you monitor the long shot. You just keep monitoring. The UK can see it, but it seems that nobody else. Well, perhaps not the UK either. Just to say that I just I just, at the end, I was doozer dumbstruck.
Ah.
Because when I say we, but when everyone had donated over the 9 years, they'd got past their goal for $2 million US.
Yeah.
I mean, I still keep thinking I'm talking about Lyndon's, because it seems, even being in here and being immersed in here and all the rest of it, it feels completely extraordinary to be any part of that whatsoever.
You know, I don't even know. I can't even imagine how many numerals would be required to translate that into Lyndon's, because it's not. It's very smart. I agree totally. Okay, well, I'll let you take care of your modesty, and thank you very much for coming on, Tusa.
Sorry about that.
No problem at all.
Just a little Second Life wardrobe malfunction, Tusa.
Yeah, exactly. For anybody who's listening to this or watching this, don't watch it. Just listen.
Maybe I'm not sure we're recording live, so we'll probably have to upload this later. Maybe I'll get. If we wait till tomorrow, maybe Pet Love can put a discrete black triangle or whatever they do.
I think you should. What you need to put is the censored boards across, don't you?
That kind of thing. Yeah.
Don't get me started on when I had to chase somebody's bad clothing choice with a censored bar, frame by frame, and also I had to erase something frame by frame from somebody else's outfit who we all know and love dearly, who started the opening ceremonies at SLB 9 last year, stood up in front of everybody, and you all know her well. Had an extra boot on where it shouldn't have been. It was terrible.
This is the problem with people insisting on changing their costume every 5 minutes. They're bound to come a cropper one day, aren't they?
Well, also we have, it's an SL feature. You have to deal with mesh. You have to deal with sculpties. You have to have graphics, power. You have to know how it all works, or you're going to run into this anyway. It's part of the game, part of the learning curve. Which makes us stronger.
It's technology. Isn't it?
They're called features. We call them features.
Yeah. Well, they're also, the source of great chuckles later. And I will never forget the first time back in the days when it used to happen with some regularity, when I discovered that my prim hair and every other prim object I had attached to my anatomy was stuck to my butt. And I was in midair, and I sat back, I took my hands off the keyboard, and I laughed for 5 minutes. And then I took a picture, because it was just one that I couldn't not have in my collection.
I'd love to see it sometime. That must be funny as can be.
Yep.
It's classic. Anyway, Mal, thanks for having me on the show. It was a pleasure working with all of you and winding it up here after winding it up there.
Yeah, this is we wound up there.
We wound up everywhere.
And this is where we wind down. Our regular viewers are probably thinking, what on earth?
They are slap happy. And we are.
Yes, we are.
Indeed.
In
Safra.
fact, no, I'm only kidding.
Safra, any closing thoughts before we wrap up?
Yeah, well, actually, you said earlier on about the impact of media on the relay, and I've actually done in previous years, from 2008 right through to 2012. I used to run the 24-hour laps, and that did mean staying at your computer the full 24 hours awake, running that track, trying to get as much distance as you could, and certainly in the really late hours, in that third quarter, as it were, you find yourself listening more and more to the stream and to the media. Now, because you're going from sim to sim, parcel to parcel, you don't listen into the individual shows. So you find yourself just listening into things like the telethon instead. And that gives a lot of the racers, a lot of the people on the track, and quite a lot of the teams as well, and the people around the track, something to listen into, and it keeps them going in those hours. So,
that's great.
During the actual relay itself, it actually keeps a lot of people going. It really does, especially on the track. Then afterwards, what you do is, because you've run, you've not seen as much as you would expect. You've run sim after sim, and often you're crossing the sims so fast they don't even res.
Yeah.
So you come back to the footage and you look at the footage to see what it is you missed. So you come back and you review all of those aspects that you couldn't see when you were there because you were so busy concentrating. I mean, I used to look literally head down at the track. I didn't see a thing. All I saw was this piece of track for 24 hours. It was, no, it's
not stimulating.
That's really.
Yeah, that's actually
So
fascinating.
Point of view, isn't it?
That's actually quite. It's quite fascinating that, because I will, I'll be doing news feeds, I'll be in Second Life, I'll be doing all sorts of things. But the one constant is I tend to have radio playing in the background to keep my commentary going, as it were, even though it's by and large music. But it just never, I know people come back and want to watch it. But it never occurred to me that, that watching it or hearing it while you're on the track is providing an incentive and engagement in itself. So I know AVU, for example, this year produced a little HUD you could wear so that I guess you had the telethon running on a little HUD in the corner of your screen, regardless of where you were. So it's great.
That's what we used to do. And you just keep on running. I mean, I've actually won most laps done in 1 year. And that was a terrible year. It was 42 laps I ran. And yeah, you can imagine 42 laps in all of the lag and all of the sim crashes and everything else. That was a really big achievement. But you don't have memories. I don't sit here today with memories of the builds and the actual relay. I have fantastic memories of what the track looks like, the colour of the arrows and the sides of the track. But what I've come away with today is something totally different. It's like really seeing the relay for the first time, listening to the stories, listening to the people, actually getting to hear their side of things.
It's deep. It is. Mm-hmm.
And many a time today I've had a chance to hop off out the studio. You've probably seen me coming and going to go to different places where I've been talking to somebody in the back channel and they've talked about what they were doing in whatever sim. So when they've left, I've hopped off with them to have a quick look at what their sim was doing or what their team was doing. And it was such a very, very different experience to what I've had in the past, while still being able to contribute back into the overall relay and helping share an experience for everybody else as well.
Absolutely. Well, you did a wonderful job, and I'm glad you've been able to come here and talk about it, and I was still alive to do so, as they say. Racer, final thoughts from you?
We do the snail races every Saturday. Come and race. We're on Treat TV.
Hey. No, the other not.
I'm going to try to come to that racer. That looks like fun. What time Saturday?
11 a.m. over on
11 SLT?
Sim, Devon Dream.
Devon Dream?
It's in my profile.
Okay, good. I'm going to try. I love little races like that. So I think that'll be fun.
Oh, you'll love this one.
Oh, I know. I can tell by looking at it. Well, let's talk later.
It's a Knockout.
Yeah.
No.
It was great working with you, Mel. Thanks a lot for doing all you did the last couple of days. It was a pleasure working for you.
And with you too. And thanks a lot for popping on here on this show as well. For the wind down. With the wind down from the telethon. Okay, well, and Racer and Safa, thanks indeed both of you for being on the show. And indeed, Bella. And indeed,
always welcome. Thank you, Mel.
It's traditional at this point, just before we boot up the Metaverse Week in Review clips, to go over to Tara for any closing thoughts. So, Tara. I see her.
She has to find her mute button.
Yeah, it would help if I hit my mute button. You'd think I had been doing this 24 hours. It's just I think Yeah, the exhaustion is contagious.
It's the
Actually,
vibe,
just
yeah.
the
It's
punch. It's the punch
contact.
drunk. It's the it's the
Yeah.
it's the punchy thing that's definitely contagious. What I started to say is for those who might not have caught any of the broadcast of the relay, reruns are available, and they're available at www.livestream.com/virtual RFL. And I think there's probably going to be a change on where those are, Mal, in later this week or something. You may have that information. And other than that, have a great week. And if you're going to the hair fair, strip down. It's a good time to have a wardrobe malfunction. So.
Okay, thanks a lot. No, that location, livestream.com/virtual RFL, all one word and initials there. That is live throughout the year. The only difference is that it's only a premium channel for the week of the relay. It will revert to being a free channel, which means you might just have to suffer the odd advert or two like you do for the show, but I'm sure that won't hurt. You can still get all the material. As
it's for the month, Mal, so people have got time to see it. Sorry.
Right, but oh, very good. Right, okay. But no, the channel itself is there permanently, whatever its status. And I do believe that the relay, the Second Life website, is also keeping the embed code on their page as well, so that people can go back and watch it there. So. I'm sure with a bit of investigation, you'll find it everywhere. Hopefully, you will find it everywhere. So, thanks to everybody on the show this week. I keep forgetting Diz was still here because I'm hearing her voice, but not her avatar. Thanks, Duza, for being on the show. Thank you to David, Zander, Aisling, Pet Love, Safra, and Racer. Everybody has been there, and of course, thanks to Tara as ever. I'm Mal Burns, and I'm signing off for another week. You can see a replay of this show itself later on YouTube, and we're now handing back to the main channel for the extended week in review, where we've got a whole lot of clips coming up. And one of the first ones on my playlist, pardon the coughing, actually is the first of a series called Happy Hunting Mini. There you are, Pet Love.
Oh, very good. I know it well.
You know it well, yes. Happy Hunting is one of the major shows from Memphis lifestyle sort of community, and they're out of season at the moment. They're taking a sort of summer break, but they couldn't resist, could they? They just
We're doing another one.
Yeah, I know. Mm-hmm. Well, it says number one. I should know.
It'll be number two, yeah.
It'll be number two. Oh, wow. How does that work?
I don't know. I can't get the zeros right in billions or millions, but you know.
Well, we can handle 1, 2, 3, 4.
Maybe.
Yeah. I know that one. Anyway, that's coming to the clips in just a couple of minutes, so you'll see another bit of Pet Love in that. We're starting with an aerial flight over Venezia. Venezia is a rather nice sim based on Venice, although the inhabitants are vampires, but it's a really nice sort of little role-play community. And we got an ad for Lauren Whalen, because Lauren's decided to do an ad. And then it's Happy Hunting, and then we've got a whole bunch of machinima yet again for the University of Western Australia's Current Reflections contest, plus a few other goodies. The show probably won't be quite as long as normal. Wonder why, but anyway, keep watching on live stream and you'll see all that. As far as the Inworld review is concerned, I'm about to say cut. But, yeah, take it away, folks. We'll see you next week.
So I can cut now, right, Mal?
I think so.
Okay.
I think so.
Okay.
Still on there.
I just want to make sure.
I have a feeling, looking over here briefly, that it didn't record, sadly, which means we're